This is Dan Dix here reporting for Press for Truth. According to Russian sources, there are more attacks planned for Syria, similar to what took place last week in Idlib. And now President Vladimir Putin has just stated that, quote, they plan to use some substances and then accuse the Syrian government of using those chemicals. Here's the clip.
We have reports from multiple sources that false flags like this one, and I cannot call it otherwise, are being prepared in other parts of Syria, including the southern suburbs of Damascus. They plan to plant some chemical there and accuse the Syrian government of an attack. However, we think that any such incident has to be thoroughly investigated.
Well, investigations are now underway, but this didn't stop the Trump administration, who, before an independent investigation was even launched, or before he got any kind of approval from Congress, he went ahead and launched 59 Tomahawk cruise missiles into Syria in retaliation for something that now most people realize Assad did not do. But how does U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson feel about all this? He just landed in Moscow just moments ago to discuss the ongoing situation in Syria, and it was just a few days ago that he stated that Russia is complicit or simply incompetent when it comes to the Syrian chemical weapons. He also stated that the United States had no doubt that the chemical weapons attack was undertaken by the Syrian government, and he warned Russia to consider carefully their continued support of the Assad regime. And meanwhile, Vladimir Putin considers the U.S. strikes against Syria an aggression against a sovereign country, violating the norms of international law and under a trumped-up pretext at that. So needless to say, tensions are very high right now, and that's because, well, overthrowing secular dictators in Middle Eastern countries is hard work for these globalist elitists. In fact, according to General Wesley Clark, the Pentagon had a plan to take out a whole host of Middle Eastern countries by 2012, and it's now 2017, and this agenda is still underway.
About 10 days after 9/11, I went through the Pentagon and I saw Secretary Rumsfeld and Deputy Secretary Wolfowitz. I went downstairs just to say hello to some of the people on the Joint Staff who used to work for me, and one of the generals called me in. He said, "Sir, you got to come in and talk to me a second." I said, "Well, you're too busy." He said, "No." He says, "We've made the decision. We're going to war with Iraq." This was on or about the 20th of September. I said, "We're going to war with Iraq? Why?" He said, "I don't know." He said, "I guess they don't know what else to do." So I said, "Well, did they find some information connecting Saddam to Al-Qaeda?" He said, No. He says, "There's nothing new that way. They've just made the decision to go to war with Iraq." He said, "I guess it's like we don't know what to do about terrorists, but we've got a good military and we can take down governments." And he said, "I guess if the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem has to look like a nail." So I came back to see him a few weeks later, and by that time we were bombing in Afghanistan. I said, "Are we still going to war with Iraq?" And he said, "Oh, it's worse than that." He said, he reached over on his desk, he picked up a piece of paper, and he said, I just got this down from upstairs," meaning the Secretary of Defense's office today, and he said, "This is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq and then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran."
So they wanted to go into Iraq first, and Libya and Syria would follow, and eventually it would all culminate into an invasion of Iran. And this is precisely what we are witnessing today. And sometimes they even expose their own agendas with a Freudian slip, like this one from George Bush.
I like to tell people when the final history is written on Iraq, it'll look like just a comma.
Oops. Or how about this one from the White House press secretary?
The goal for both of them, the goal for the United States, is twofold. As I've stated, it's one, to make sure that we destabilize Syria, destabilize the conflict there.
It's not even a secret anymore, folks. Most people are beginning to wake up to the fact that we are being manipulated into going along with war here, all in the name of destabilizing these regions, their specific target regions in the Middle East, so that they can install their Rothschild-controlled centralized bank. all while at the same time giving people the illusion of choice by installing a puppet Democratic leader. But there is good news today, guys. If you yourselves are now seeing through these lies today, well then, congratulations. Because you can now be a part of the solution by sharing this information and by telling your friends and your family what is really going on here. So click on that like button, folks, and share this video if the information resonates with you. And if you would like to help us combat this propaganda spin machine, you can do so by becoming a PFT patron. The links are located in the description below. YouTube has significantly reduced my ability to monetize my work here on YouTube, so we need your help now more than ever. And the best way to do that is to become a PFT patron by contributing a monthly amount of your choice, similar to like what you would do for a cable or internet provider. Only I'm giving you the information that you want and you deserve. So please check the links in the description if you'd like to be involved as a PFT patron. And stay tuned, folks, we're going to have more video reports coming soon. This is Dan Dix reporting for Press for Truth.